Did you miss your deadline to renew your Medicaid coverage? You can still send your completed annual review form to Healthy Connections Medicaid. You may be assigned to another health plan, but you can ask to come back to First Choice within 60 days of renewed Medicaid eligibility. It's your family. It's your choice. First Choice is the right choice. Renew and choose us. Visit selecthealthofsc.com/renew to learn more.
You're listening to a CNA podcast.
Welcome to the Climate Conversations. I'm your host, Julie Yoo. For many of us, coffee is essential. It jumpstarts our mornings and keeps us going throughout the day. In fact, more than 60% of Singaporeans begin their day with coffee. But have you ever stopped to think about the future of this beloved beverage as climate change accelerates? Global warming is making rainfall patterns erratic and intensifying droughts. Growing coffee beans is becoming more and more challenging. Even the former CEO of Starbucks, Howard Schultz, has acknowledged that climate change is going to play a bigger role in affecting the quality and integrity of coffee. In the first part of our Sustainability Chiefs episode, we'll explore how Starbucks is adapting to this new normal, working to reduce its environmental footprint and responding to the growing demands of conscious consumers. Joining us today is the Chief Sustainability Officer of Starbucks, Michael Kobori. Welcome to the Climate Conversations, Michael. Just curious before we start, what Starbucks drink did you have this morning to kickstart your day?
You know, this morning I just had a brewed coffee. That's what I usually drink, French press. I think I had Costa Rica.
Excellent choice.
Yeah.
All right, so let's take you back to 2020 when you started your journey with Starbucks. You made a significant career move from Levi's, where you have been the head of sustainability for over 2 decades. So what inspired you to take up this role?
Well, I would say, Julie, that I'm actually inspired by things that happened to me when I was young. When I was in high school, I was very inspired by a biology teacher who helped found our high school recycling club called Student Action for the Environment. So I was involved in recycling way back when I was a kid. And I actually went to Asia when I was younger as well and spent a number of years at a place called the Asia Foundation doing international development work, lived in Bangladesh, lived in Thailand for a number of years. And then after graduate school, I joined Levi Strauss & Company. That was about the time when there were a lot of concerns around working conditions in factories in Asia, in the apparel sector. And I got involved in labor standards in the factories. And then after a few years, the company asked me to take on environmental work. And it was back to what I had experienced when I was younger. And I had a passion for it and got very involved in some of the environmental programs at Levi's. And it's really about making the world a better place. We have big challenges around the environment and climate, and we need to do something. This generation needs to do something.
Yeah, I took a look at your open letter that you sent out to your staff that year that you joined Starbucks. You set firm goals to cut the company's carbon, water, and waste footprints in half by 2030. I mean, these are ambitious initiatives. So, Michael, what gave you the confidence to set this sustainability vision for the company?
Well, I will say when I joined Starbucks, the then CEO made these announcements saying it's very important for us as a company to be resource positive, to give back more than we take from the planet's resources. And that's really our animating vision for the work that we're doing. And then we said, look, it's great to have a vision. We also need to have targets. And so that's when we set those carbon, water, and waste targets to reduce our footprint in each of those areas by 50% by 2030.
Yeah, and it's been 3 years since the announcement. How's the progress coming along?
One of the things that we have been doing is really focusing on coffee, sustainable cups, reusable cups, and our greener stores. So I'll start in reverse order by saying that we've now reached 3,500 of our greener stores certified all around the world. Our goal is 10,000 by 2025, so we're making very good progress towards that. In terms of our cups, we have literally done 21 market tests all around the world in different markets, including markets in Asia, South Korea, Hong Kong, Singapore, looking at what are the best incentives to get more reusable cup usage, including testing with other companies. We've been doing existing cups. We've been doing lightweighting and more recycled content in the hot cups that we're currently offering. And in coffee, we have now gotten up to 70 million coffee trees that we have donated to coffee farmers all around the world towards our goal of 100 million coffee trees that are climate-resistant coffee trees, I should add. And we've also introduced 3,500 wet mills that use up to 80% less water in our coffee-producing countries around the world.
And achieving these goals in less than, 10 years come with, I'm sure, its share of challenges. What were some of the key risks you anticipated?
Well, I think one of the biggest things that we needed to do at the company is change people's mindset. Like most companies, we tend to think in 3-year, 4-year terms. That's generally companies' strategic planning horizon, as I think you're well aware.
Yeah.
And to get our leaders, our partners, our employees to think in a 10-year vision of what might be possible is really one of the biggest opportunities that we had. And so spent the first couple of years talking to people, showing them the data, showing them what others were doing, and really trying to inspire people that these visions are achievable and we must achieve them in order for us to do our part to address these big issues like the climate crisis that the world is facing.
What was the initial reaction within the company then, and has it changed much now?
Starbucks has always been, throughout our 51-year history, we've always had a focus on sustainability. And in the early days, it was a focus on sustainable coffee because obviously that is our core product. And so we developed something called our Coffee and Farmer Equity Program to make sure that the coffee that we were serving was sustainable. And we worked with a big environmental organization, Conservation International, to set up this program to support not only farmers' income and social conditions of the communities where we're sourcing coffee, but also the environmental standards of how they were growing the coffee in more sustainable ways, and also the quality of the coffee. So we've been working with farmers, literally it's 400,000 smallholder farmers all around the world, many countries in Asia like Indonesia, China, Vietnam, to support them and really train them. We've set up what we call farmer support centers, 10 of them all around the world to support farmers figure out how to grow coffee more sustainably.
For those of us who are not familiar with coffee production itself, what are the major contributors to carbon emissions, and how is Starbucks working towards decarbonizing a cup of coffee?
So when we work with farmers, we support the farmers by not only teaching them more sustainable agricultural techniques, like what is known as regenerative agriculture. So to plow your fields less, to use more composting, natural fertilizers. But the other thing that I'm not sure most people realize that when they're drinking their morning cup of coffee, because of the climate crisis, the land area that is available to grow coffee all around the world will be reduced 50% by 2050. So coffee grows in the tropics, in a narrow band up on the mountain. It requires those conditions. And because of climate change, because of the temperature of the earth going up, the area available to grow coffee will decline by half. And so one of the things that we are doing in our farmer support centers and in our coffee farm that we actually own in Costa Rica is we're developing new varieties of coffee that are resistant to the impacts of climate change. It usually takes 4 years for a coffee plant to mature and bear fruit. These plants, these trees that we're developing can mature in about half the time. So not only are we developing these more what you could call climate resistant coffee trees for our farmers, we are actually giving them to the farmers. Our commitment is to donate 100 million of these more sustainable coffee trees to farmers all around the world. And as of this year, we've hit 70 million more climate-resistant trees that we're actually providing to coffee farmers.
Are you looking for ways to make your money work harder? Tips on saving, investing, or retiring early, perhaps? Or advice on big-ticket decisions like buying a house or owning a car? I'm Andrea Heng, host of CNA's top personal finance podcast, Money Talks, and these are some of the things we find out for you. Each week, I get a guest to share personal stories and answer burning questions that help you make sense of the latest financial trends. Go check out the complete Money Talks playlist on the CNA app, Spotify, Google, or Apple Podcasts.
So let's delve into Starbucks' iconic disposable cups. Your aim is to eliminate them by 2030. Tell us more about that overhaul.
Cups is the vessel with which we serve the coffee in. And so we've said we need to eliminate that waste, the single-use cup. And there are 3 different approaches that we're taking to do this. One is that when you go to a Starbucks store and you're going to order your cup of coffee and stay there in the cafe to drink it, we are offering it in ceramic cups. So that's becoming our default. We used to do it all the time, but now we're coming back to it to be more sustainable. The second option is we're encouraging customers throughout Asia to bring their own, what we call personal cup. So here's mine. I take this everywhere I go. It's one that I got in Pike Place Market, which was our first Starbucks store for Pike Place Market in Seattle. So I take this and we will fill this. So that eliminates the use of the disposable cup. And the last option is what we're calling our borrow a cup system. So if a customer comes into a cafe and they're going to take their coffee away or take it to go, then we've developed this test reusable cup that they can take their beverage away. And then we have return kiosks in our stores where they can come, scan it, then return it, and then we'll wash, sterilize it, and use it again. And so throughout Asia, we are doing pilots in a number of countries, about 600 stores. We're also testing these programs in Singapore, South Korea, Hong Kong, really trying to figure out how do we support our customers to be more sustainable.
Has it gained traction?
It is gaining traction. One of the things we're seeing is customers love the reusable cup, the borrow a cup, and they are collecting them and then returning them to the kiosk. Like they'll collect them all over the week, and then Monday morning they'll come in and they're scanning the cup and putting it back in. We're seeing that the customers, as well as our store partners, the baristas, they like it because we're making a difference.
That's great to know. But I also wonder, do these initiatives come with an added cost for Starbucks,
We've been testing all types of different incentives to get our customers to bring their reusable cups, or testing all kinds of incentives to bring back, return the borrow a cup. So right now we're experimenting with what is the best incentive to get customers, because we're trying to change people's behavior. It isn't always easy to do that, so we're testing a lot of different things. In fact, over the past 18 months, we have conducted 21 tests in markets all around the world. And what we're seeing is, of course, every market is different. And so we have to have a different combination of incentives or disincentives or other programs.
And I also understand that beyond the cups, Starbucks is building more green stores worldwide. Could you describe how these differ from others and what impact are they expected to have?
Our greener stores is a terrific concept and a program that we started roughly about 10 years ago. We were one of the world's largest retailer of what we call LEED certified stores, stands for Leadership in Environmental Design. And these are stores that are certified to be built more sustainably. We also want to make sure we operate it more sustainably and use less water and do recycling in the store. And so we developed this Greener Stores program with World Wildlife Fund. And we have now globally certified 3,500 of our stores to be greener stores. We have just begun the program this year in a number of markets in Asia. Singapore, Thailand, Vietnam, India, Malaysia, Philippines. Our target is 10,000 of our stores worldwide by 2025. And ultimately, the vision here just like with the cups, is to go all in on sustainability so that every new store we build is built to our greener store specifications.
Okay. Michael, Starbucks has met obviously some goals in the past, but also has a history of revising or even scrapping its sustainability goals. What are you doing to ensure that all those goals are met by 2030?
Well, one of the things that we do every year is we report on our progress year to year. So that's one thing that's happening that we are doing, and we've been very transparent about that and the progress that we're making. And the other thing that we are doing is I would encourage you to look at our report and look at the progress that we are making, because I am very confident that with the partners that we have now and the leadership that we have now and the focus that the world has on sustainability, we are going to meet these commitments.
For those who remain skeptical about the possibility of coffee sustainability in an industry that largely reliant on plastic cups and paper filters and deforestation, what would you say to them?
Well, I would say, number one, our vision long-term is to go to reusable cups. Okay? That's our long-term vision. And again, we're testing all different ways to get there. In the near term, what we're doing is taking our existing cups and making them more sustainable. So this past year, we are converting all of our paper cups. Our existing paper cups are now 30% post-consumer recycled content, and they're Forest Stewardship Council certified as not coming from old growth forests, so more sustainable timber. And we're lightweighting them, which means we're using fewer materials to make the cup. So we're consuming fewer trees in the end. So we're taking steps right now to make the existing cup more sustainable.
As the CSO of one of the world's largest companies, do you ever feel pressure to lead a sustainable lifestyle yourself?
Absolutely. One has to walk the talk, of course. In our home, we've done all our insulation, so we use less energy. And just personally, lifestyle-wise, I have taken to public transportation, using my vehicle a lot less. And in my eating habits, I have pretty much cut out meat. I try to choose more plant-based alternatives in what I'm putting in my body. So just a few things there to try and be more sustainable.
Okay, Michael, thank you very much for joining me in discussing sustainability, both on a corporate and personal level. And we look forward to seeing the positive impact your leadership will have not only within Starbucks, but also in the broader sustainability movement. Thank you again for your time.
Julie, thank you. It's been a pleasure to speak with you.
Well, thanks to my guest, and thanks to everyone for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Now, do remember to like and subscribe to this podcast so you know when the new episode drops. Leave us a message on Spotify or Apple Podcasts to let us know what you think. The team behind this podcast is Cyan Win, Jacqueline Chen, Joanne Chen, Tiffany Yang, Crispina Robert, and I'm Julie Yoo, signing off.